hook. Imagine being born at a time when your own people were being enslaved. And imagine that the king had ordered every Hebrew baby boy to be killed. But one baby was hidden. His mother placed him inside a small basket and put him among the reeds of the Nile River. She didn't know what would happen next, but God had a plan. That baby was Moses, and his story would eventually lead an entire nation out of slavery. This is the story of Moses. Moses is saved. The Israelites had been living in Egypt for generations, but the Egyptians became afraid because the Israelites were growing in number. So Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, forced them into slavery. He made them work hard, building cities and carrying out difficult labor. Then Pharaoh gave a terrible command. Every Hebrew baby boy was to be thrown into the Nile. Moses' mother tried to hide him for as long as she could, but eventually she made a basket, placed Moses inside it, and put it among the reeds along the river. Moses' older sister Miriam watched from a distance. Then something unexpected happened. Pharaoh's daughter came down to the river. She saw the basket. When she opened it, she found a crying baby inside it. She realized he was a Hebrew child, but she decided to take him and raise him as her own. Here's something amazing. Miriam approached her and asked if she should find a Hebrew woman to nurse the baby. Pharaoh's daughter agreed, so Moses' own mother was able to take care for him while he was still young. God had protected Moses in the middle of danger, and eventually Moses grew up in Pharaoh's household. Moses runs away. Years passed. Moses knew that he was a Hebrew. Even though he had grown up in Pharaoh's household, one day he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Moses became angry. He struck the Egyptian and the man died. But Moses soon realized that what he had done was wrong. He became afraid and fled Egypt. He traveled far away to the land of Midian. There, Moses began a completely different life. He became a shepherd. For years, he lived quietly, taking care of sheep. He probably thought his days of being connected to Egypt were over. But God wasn't finished with him. One day, while Moses was tending the flock, something incredible happened. The burning bush. Moses saw a bush that was on fire, but there was something strange about it. The bush wasn't burning up. Moses went closer to investigate, and then God called his name. Moses, Moses. Moses answered, "Here I am." God told him to take off his sandals because he was standing on holy ground. And God told Moses why he had called him. God had heard the cries of the Israelites. He had seen their suffering, and now he was sending Moses back to Egypt. Moses was terrified. He didn't think he was good enough. He asked essentially, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" But God gave him the answer, "I will be with you." Moses wasn't being asked to do this alone. God would go with him. So Moses returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron, and they went to Pharaoh. Moses faces Pharaoh. Moses and Aaron stood before Pharaoh and delivered God's command, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh refused. He didn't want to release his slaves. Instead, he made their work even harder. Moses must have wondered how this situation could possibly get better. But God began showing his power through a series of signs and plagues. The Nile turned to blood, frogs covered the land, there were swarms of insects, disease struck the livestock, darkness covered Egypt, and finally came the last and most devastating plague. God provided a way for the Israelites to be protected through the Passover. After this final plague, Pharaoh finally told the Israelites to leave. After hundreds of years in Egypt, Israelites were finally free. They left Egypt in a massive group, but their journey wasn't over. Trapped at the Red Sea, the Israelites eventually reached the Red Sea, and then they heard something terrifying. Pharaoh had changed his mind. The Egyptian army was coming after them. Imagine being trapped. The sea was in front of you. The Egyptian army was behind you. There seemed to be no way to go. The Israelites were terrified. They cried out to Moses, but Moses told them, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." Then God told Moses to raise his staff over the sea, and Moses obeyed. The Red Sea. Then something impossible happened. A powerful wind began to blow. The waters of the sea divided. A path appeared right through the middle. The Israelites stood there in amazement, but they didn't stay there. They walked forward. Families carried their belongings. Children walked beside their parents. Thousands upon thousands of Israelites crossed the sea on dry ground. The same people who had been trapped just moments earlier now had a way forward. God had made a path where there had been no path. The Egyptian army followed them into the sea. But when the Israelites had safely crossed, God caused the waters to return. The Egyptian army was defeated, and Israel was finally delivered. Israel is free. Think about what had just happened. These people had been slaves. They had cried out for help. They had watched Pharaoh refuse to let them go. They had seen God's power in Egypt, and now they had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground. They knew that their freedom wasn't because of their own strength. God had rescued them. Moses and the Israelites began to worship and praise God. The sea was behind them, Egypt was behind them, and a new journey was beginning. The message. The story of Moses isn't simply about a man who became a great leader. It's about a God who keeps his promises. Moses felt afraid. He didn't think he was capable. He ran away. He spent years living as a shepherd. But God still had a purpose for him. And when Israel stood trapped between the sea and the Egyptian army, God made a way. Maybe you're facing something that feels impossible right now. Maybe you don't know what comes next. Remember the story of Moses. The same God who made a way through the sea is the God who can guide you through whatever you're facing. You may not see the path yet, but that doesn't mean God hasn't already made one. Trust Him, keep moving forward, and remember, God can make a way where there seems to be no way.